Hi, I just got a really great question from a client that I wanted to share with you. So, without giving too many details away, essentially he purchased a home, I don't know, a year or so ago, and in the country in which he lives, there's a law that the heating system or something needs to be updated, and it's going to cost $30,000 US, equivalent to $30,000. So, um, he was not told of this when he purchased the house. Not a great situation, right? So his realtor didn't tell him. Suddenly they have this huge thing that they're looking at. The house is expensive to begin with. Lot going on there. So he asked me really, really brilliantly, I think, he's looking at this understanding. It's helping in a lot of ways. He's seeing that we feel our thinking. Thought shows up. It's made up essentially in our head. It's our version of truth, our opinion, and it's brought to life as if it's true, and that's what we feel. And there's this constant flow of that. And it's powered by something wise and bigger than us. And when we're really caught up in that thought and we're believing it and seeing it as true, that's where we get into a lot of trouble in life. And when we can start to see that it's our own opinions brought to life as if they're truth, and we don't have to stare there so much. It's going to happen. It's always going to happen as long as you're alive. But that maybe we can look to what powers that rather than look at that. So rather than look at our opinions as if they're true, look at the bigger wisdom and common sense and energy that powers all of that, and that can help us. So that's, in a nutshell, a tiny nutshell, that's the understanding, and we've been talking about it together for many weeks. And he is seeing a lot in it, but he asked me, okay, if this understanding is worth anything, how can it help me in this situation? And it's such a great question because, we're not just, I'm not when I work with people and you're when I talk with you, just sharing a nice philosophy. He's right. It has to help. We want it to be, it is a description of where our experience comes from, but that should have some value for us, right? It's not just curiosity, and it's never been just, oh, let's be curious about how your mind works. To me, I see the value in it, but I totally get where his question is coming from, where sometimes it's hard to see that. So if this understanding is worth anything, if it's worth its weight, how is it going to help him in that situation? And for me, it still is looking back to, okay, here's the truth. It's a couple things, but let's start here. Here's the truth of what I'm experiencing. It is not, when you get hit with a $30,000 unexpected bill that you really can't afford, it is not going to look like, oh, I'm just thinking that this is a problem. For anyone on earth, it looks like this out here, this outside event is the problem. This is causing my pain. And if this would go away, I would feel better. And it's just to kind of see that I know it looks like that, it would look like that. And it's probably true. If that bill would just be erased, he would feel better. But he's still not feeling the bill. He's still not feeling the problem. He's not feeling the fact that his realtor didn't give him this information. He's feeling his thinking in each and every moment. And to know that our thinking is our subjective opinion. It's just the best. And I don't mean that in a way to like make you think, oh, nothing I think is valid or anything like that. It's just the way the mind works. We bring in our own memories. It's influenced by our own mood, by our own conclusion. It is by definition biased because you could put 7 billion people, everyone on earth, in that same situation, and they're not all going to have the same response. So it has to be coming from inside of us. And to just know that, that's not going to take everything away. It's not going to instantly give them a real solution, a way to fix this in the outside world necessarily, but it gives him a place to look, and he can know what's what. And with that understanding, he's going to be less likely to get super caught up in it, and he's still going to get caught up. Everyone does, even in the most minor things. But he's going to be less likely to look outside and say, you did this wrong, this shouldn't have happened, because when we do that and we get fixated on that, it's an outside problem, we don't see, like our vision gets very narrow and we don't see the big picture. So the truth of it is, the big cosmic spiritual truth of it is, there are an infinite number of things he might do to solve this problem for himself. There are so many, we couldn't even begin to fathom what they could be. I mean, we could rattle off like 10 right now. He could sue his realtor. They could somehow try to move. They could get out of this. They could pay the bill. There's so many things that are possible. But the point is, and I can't tell him, I don't have any clue what he should do. How could I know? How could anyone else give him advice on that? The point is that in life, always, there are an infinite number of possibilities. There are so many solutions, but we're blind to most of them. We're going to be blind to most of them because we have brains and our brains get focused on certain things. But as our minds relax and we stop taking our thinking as truth and we stop seeing in these dead-end tunnel kind of ways, our vision widens and possibilities open up that are previously completely invisible. So I could say to him, well, you could sue your realtor or you could move. Like I could throw out a couple of those things, and most likely, because I know my mind would do this, everyone's mind does this, the mind instantly is like, nope, maybe, probably not, nope. Like that just happens in an instant because our brain is just a machine. It's an efficient machine, and it doesn't want to choose from an infinite number of possibilities. It wants to shoot us down a path where we can make sense of the world, right? Based on what we already think we know about the world. It's just trying to preserve its energy and help us out. But we just need to understand the limits of this machine, So instantly, and this happens all the time in any area of life. What should I do in my business? No, that's not going to work. No, I'm not qualified for that. In an instant. I mean, we just negate everything and we keep things small for efficiency purposes, I suppose, or out of habit or whatever. But it's our mind doing that. It's not the truth of things. So the more we start to see that, the less that happens. And the more you can be very suspicious and you can kind of know, okay, I have a bunch of opinions coming up here and they're going to come up and they're going to feel like truth. And they're going to have evidence behind them and proof behind them, and that doesn't matter. That's just how our mind works. It's not dumb, it's very smart. It's going to bolster its opinion and bring in memories and all kinds of stuff. But if you know that this is just how the mind works, that actually when we can see all that chatter, all those no's, and this will never work and this will never happen, and we just set that off to the side and we're not staring at that, we just, it doesn't matter. That's going to be there and I don't need to pay attention to that. I'm here in my common sense, in my wisdom, and my resiliency, letting new ideas show up if they show up, and maybe even looking at them, not saying no to them and shutting them off right away. That I know for sure that things are going to show up that otherwise wouldn't. And truly, people talk about this all the time. It's like a solution. You go to bed, right? Sleep on it or quit thinking about it. And solutions, they pop up from nowhere. It's our common sense, our wisdom, bringing us things that it's always been trying to bring us, but we're so full and fixated and confused about what's already in our head that it's knocking at the door and we just don't even hear it. So that's how, and I could go on forever about how this understanding can give him a practical solution to his problem. But that's just the first thing that comes to mind that I wanted to share with you because I thought it was a brilliant question and so important. We're not just here to be philosophical and chat about interesting things. That's nice. That's a fun perk of this. It is interesting, I think. But it's really to help people. The point, it has to show up and do something practical for us, or it really isn't good for that much. And this understanding definitely does. So thank you for listening.